loud. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this holiday edition of the Dream Local Digital and Lisbon Moxie Hub Digital Advertising Academy. We're here tonight on December 15th, 2021 for session 3, how to show up in search engines. And Shannon is our leader on this series, and we'll turn it over to her. Hey, Shannon.
Hi, thank you so much, Brett. And I'm really excited to be here as part of this really important series that you've put together, also highlighting the co-work and entrepreneurship hub that you've got in Lisbon. And today is a session that's going to include some technical details, but I promise I won't drag you down too much. We're going to focus on how search engines work, give you some info. Brett also has a copy of the presentation that he can mail all of you, so you can have a copy of the slides. And some of you know that I am working on audits for all of you that we were hoping to get you before tonight's session, but they're all coming out in the next few days. So they are on the way, don't worry. In the meantime, we can jump into today's topic, which is showing up in search engines. And it's part of our overall mission with today's course is really helping you build your own marketing plan and sort of hone your marketing skills. And search engines, while they're technical in nature, they really are a big part of your success. And so that's why we're focusing on them today. So the other thing I wanted to just have you ask a few questions of yourself is asking you how you did with your homework. Now, I know a lot of you are super busy right now preparing your businesses for the holidays. Many of you were e-commerce and didn't get a chance to work on your homework yet, but your homework from last month, just to review, was looking at your online presence, thinking about your Dream 100 list, which is really a way to be thinking about where are other places and people that my audience may follow that I should connect with. Looking at one social channel and starting to create content. Those were some of the homework assignments you had. And next month, we are focusing more on social media. So start thinking about your social channel because it's going to come up again. Okay, so as we jump into search engines and how they work, one of the reasons it's so important is people really only focus on the first page of search results. And so a good joke is the best place to hide a dead body is in page 2 of Google search results. And so today, while I'm going to give you several of the different factors that determine how well you show up on search engines. We're going to look at local search, which is very much search focused in a specific area, which is true to so many of you as part of this course who are really focused very locally. We're going to talk about the top ranking factors, how to optimize your Google My Business listing, which we had mentioned once before, but not in as much detail, how to optimize your content and really use the words on your website and the content on your website to make you show up better in search. It's one of the biggest factors and one that you can control yourself. So just a few basics about search engines. There's a lot of activity on search. There are more than 2 trillion requests done on Google per day, and 93% of all web traffic comes via a search engine. So even if somebody knows a company that they're looking for, in many cases, they're going to a search engine to just type in the name of the company and find them because they're not sure what the web address is. So it really is fueling the vast majority of all web traffic. And Google has more than 200 factors in its algorithm. And today we're going to talk about a few that you can control that can help you control your destiny, if you will, and show up well in search. And finally, 53% of US consumers are researching products using search engines prior to making a purchase. There's a lot of other things to be thinking about, but one of the key ones I wanted to share with you is that 70% of search traffic is organic, meaning the majority of search traffic is coming from the free part of Google, not the paid part of Google. So I am going to mention quickly search engine marketing, which is buying Google ads or other search ads and what they mean. But the majority of what I'm going to talk to you about today is how to show up organically on your own without paying Google or any search engine for that piece. Now,
I didn't understand.
oh, sorry, I have a Google Home, and every time I say the G word, she thinks I need something from her. So she started talking back to me. I apologize. So there are more than just one search engine, but these are the top 10 search engines. And the thing I want you to remember is YouTube is technically also a search engine, and it is owned by Google. Google is by far the top, getting more than 78% of all search traffic worldwide. So a lot of times, a lot of the discussion I'm going to have with you this evening is going to be focused primarily on Google, because what their algorithms are looking for is very similar to others, and it's the majority of traffic. But for those of you who are in the e-commerce space, if you have products on Amazon, Amazon is also a massive search engine of items within its own database. And it's got a lot of different optimization strategies we're not going to talk about today. So if Amazon is part of your strategy, definitely let me know, and we can have some private one-on-one to help you make sure that you're optimized there. So the key thing I want you thinking about is that 90% of searchers stop on page 1, right? That's just a really tough situation. And it's why if you're on page 2, you might as well be on page 10. Many people don't ever go to the second page. And in fact, 75% of users here in the US stop after the first 5 listings. And so that meaning they don't want to scroll. That makes it really hard to show up well. And one of the reasons I'm focusing on local search here for today's session is those are the listings that show up in with the map, as you're seeing in this image. In many cases, they are the top ones. And it really, if you can control local search, it really sets you up well for any searches broadly. And also, your website really must work well on a mobile device. The audits that I'm going to be sending all of you will help you understand if this is a challenge for you or not. Mobile is the vast majority of search traffic right now. And so Google wants the person who's searching to get an answer that's the best answer for them. And if they're searching on a mobile device and your site doesn't work on a mobile device, they don't return you as a result. And so you really need to make sure that that's like one of the biggest factors in terms of how well you show up in search. The other thing about mobile searchers is they are ready to take action. 76% of people who are searching on their smartphones are taking action for something nearby within a business day. And so it's really important to know that if somebody's coming that way, they're ready to, they might be looking for your hours. They might be buying a product directly from your site. They might be trying to find you. And so they're ready to do something. And so you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of that. And finally, I'm going to talk about a lot of different ways that you can optimize for search. But if your site doesn't work well on a phone, or if it's really slow, you're kicked out of the game already. So you want to make sure that your website isn't too slow. For some of you, I know you've built them yourselves and using tools, and if you put too many images, or you have sometimes over dominating or not well optimized videos on your pages, while they might look great, they might slow your site down a lot, which will impact your ability to show up on search. So the audit that I'll send you will give you some clues if this is something that's going to start to happen to you. But I run into this a lot with realtors, or folks that are using sort of big tools like, say, Bento Box for restaurants, or Chime for realtors, Wix or Squarespace. They see a video, they want to put it in, and it just drags the whole site down. So make sure that your website is optimized to be fast, and that will help you on search. So here's a few other basics, but really the big thing I want you to be thinking about today is keywords. What keywords and phrases do you want to show up on in search? Because I'm going to talk about a lot of different actions you could take, but you want to be able to prioritize your time to do 1 or 2 things that are really going to make a difference in your business. You're going to learn a lot today, but pick 1 or 2. And I think the biggest one that we're going to talk about are making sure that you understand the keywords and phrases that are important to you. And I've actually got a couple different tips to help you get there. So when it comes to SEM or search engine marketing, that's when you're buying ads on a search engine. So that might be Google AdWords, it could be Bing, it could be Yahoo, it could be a number of different places that you can buy an ad on search. And it's pay-per-click. So you're buying a keyword for something like moisturizer, and then you are showing up and buying that traffic for people who are searching for moisturizer. This is something that really helps if Yellow Pages used to be a very big part of your business. If you want everybody who's searching for a particular word to find you, it can work very well. And we do hundreds of thousands of dollars of these a month for clients, but not everybody needs them. And the other key thing to remember is this works when somebody knows what they're searching for, and you want to be number one, like realtor near me, plumber near me, anything like that. But it's not when you want somebody to know about what you do as much, if that makes sense, which is more of a brand awareness play. So today, I'm going to spend more of my time talking about how to make you show up organically. But if you have questions about buying ads, how to do them, let me know. I put a few links to give you some tips in the resources section of today's presentation so that you can see Google Ad Keyword Planner and a few other tools that Google has. But there are a lot of options for you out there. And if you need help there, just let me know. And where we're going to spend the majority of our time is what we call SEO, or search engine optimization. So almost, as I said earlier, over 90% of online experiences are starting with a search engine. So you want to make sure that your your website shows up in those results. And so SEO is the kind of thing that's really important if you want more web traffic, if you want to capture more customers, and if you want to make sure that when somebody needs you, you're the answer that they see. So let's talk about ways to do that. The number one result in Google organically, meaning it shows up without paying, gets about 32% of all clicks. So it's really helpful if you're number one. Not all of us can do it. I mean, I'm not even number one in a lot of the search keywords I would care about for our company, but it is nice to at least strive to be on the first page. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about today is an intro to local search, right? This is how local search works. And 46% of all searches on Google are looking for local information. So what that means is they're looking for pizza in Lisbon, Maine, hotel in downtown Boston. They're trying to find something near them. And so they're seeking information online. But in many cases, it's with the intention of a transaction offline. And so it's important to understand how that's going to impact you and drive traffic into your particular business. Now, for Heather, who's focusing on e-commerce at a national level, or geography isn't as much of an issue, I think for you, highlighting, that you're a Maine business, your roots in Maine, your ingredients and their unique story will help you also show up really well in local as well as national. So more than 50% of searches that say near me actually result in a store visit. So this is another way that you can leverage search to build store traffic. As I said, make sure that people understand near me and that you show up in it for the keywords and phrases that matter to you the most. And the use of near me is growing exponentially every year. And now people are even starting to really want neighborhoods or particular regions, like in the case of Maine, like mid-coast Maine, or different regions versus just towns. So it's becoming even more and more complex. The number two thing I want to talk about is top ranking factors for search. So here are the 6 things that really fuel your results in search. One of them in local search in particular is proximity. The second one is reviews, which we talked about a little bit in one of our earlier sessions, and I've got a couple tips on reviews today. Citations and consistency. 2 nerdy words that I'm going to talk to you about, but it's making sure that your name, address, and phone number are listed accurately on more than 125 different directories that track businesses. That sounds like a silly thing. At my business, we call this like the plumbing of the internet. But if you need help showing up on those, we can help you. The report that I've created and the audits I've created for all of you will show you your citations and consistency, and we'll follow that. Domain authority is how many other websites are really linking to you, or how much authoritative content on a topic do you have on your own website. So for example, if you want to be known as a trusted advisor in financial services, which I know we have somebody who is, then you want to make sure that you have a lot of really accurate, authoritative, strong content that would answer the searcher's question about it. And that will give you more domain authority. The category that you choose for Google My Business matters, which we'll talk about, and keywords in your business content and descriptions is going to matter a lot. So we're going to go over the business title of your website and then the different keywords and how that matters. So the first one is proximity. This one you want to make sure, for those of you that really want local or you want to fuel foot traffic with Google, make sure that you have, you've claimed your Google My Business listing, which we'll talk about in a minute, that you've used a physical address to do that, that you use your local phone number, not a, sometimes people use call tracking, which is a great way to track the effectiveness of advertising, but it should not be in your listing on Google, because that won't match your listings in other areas, which will throw you off. And local numbers will obviously illustrate your local area. And link building, if you're featured on the local chamber, if you're featured on the town site, like in working with Brett, a local newspaper, like anything or in your area that you are listed in really helps. Now, reviews matter. They matter because of consumer behavior, because 90% of people will trust a business that has 10 reviews, even if they're not all good, actually. If you respond to a bad one, or if you have, say, the majority of them are good and maybe you have one bad apple in there, most people will just overlook that one entirely. So reviews really skew people's trust and encourage purchases or build rapport with potential customers, but they also fuel search. So if Google sees high volumes of reviews, or they see a lot of consistently good reviews, they will rank you higher than someone who doesn't. So they look at quality first. They're going to look and look at, you know, the sentiment, obviously, the amount of stars, and the volume of them, and then help you show up higher on the map. So if you're trying to figure out, like, how does my competitor show up on the map on Google, or how come I don't, reviews is one of the big driving factors for that. And citations, as I mentioned, this is really your name, address, phone number listed in different ways. And so here you'll see this one particularly, I'm showing a few different examples of a Maine-based business that the name is inconsistent, the town is inconsistent. There is under Harpswell in some places, South Harpswell in others, and the hours are all over the board. And so as a result, Google thinks that this business is less relevant and not, what's a great way of saying it? Like, not a safe bet to give you as an answer to your search. Now, this is not hard to fix, but it's, it's what I would call like admin work to fix it. Like, we have a tool at my office that we can fix it with. So if you don't want to do it yourself, we can help you. But if you do want to do it yourself, it starts with Google My Business, and I'll show you how to do that one. And then you've got to look at every single place that your name is listed and make sure that they're consistent. Here, the name even is a problem. So it's just a local example of somebody who's really struggling. As I said, domain authority is really about the reputation of your business. And it used to be, I'd say just pre-pandemic, Google relied pretty heavily on what we call backlinks, which means a story or an article or something is on someone else's website that links to you. And so if you had an article in the paper and they actually put a link in, or the Chamber of Commerce did a feature on you and they had a link to you, that would matter a lot. Now, those links in particular don't necessarily skew the algorithm as much as they used to, but content and backlinks really does. So the way we help our clients establish domain authority is to really create meaningful content on their own websites on the topics that they want to cover, and then share them in relevant ways. So for example, we may take somebody who's in the travel business and feature their content on an event page, or Heather may have her skincare and some of the content about using natural products in skincare featured on a lifestyle blog where it's super relevant, and you have similar audiences and interests. Now that, by the way, is one of the reasons in our last session, I gave you the homework of thinking about your Dream 100, because collaborating to share content, promote each other, or tag each other in social, whatever you can do to sort of find other people that can help elevate your message and help you reach more people, that's really a solid way to build domain authority. SEO used to be about like who has the most backlinks, and people would just make up these ridiculous articles and hide them on websites and try to trick the system. And it really doesn't work that way anymore. So think about your Dream 100, or frankly, your Dream 5, and then start collaborating with them to make sure you get content happening. And then the category that you choose for Google My Business is really going to impact how you show up in search. And so I have a link here that shows you the complete list, and you really want to find one that is as close to you as you can. Sometimes people think they want to be really general, like real estate or home improvement or something like that. But being general actually will hurt you, because Google is trying to see like how directly relevant are you to the category that you chose. So make sure you take a look at that list and think about which ones you think might be the fit for you before you go and claim your page, if you haven't done it already. Now, keywords in your business title always help. Not all of us can do it. Like Dream Local Digital, for example, does not have marketing agency in the title itself. For those of you that it does, it really will fuel search. So for example, ABC Hair Salon is going to show up well. And if and you don't want to stuff it necessarily, like try to do Dream Local Digital Marketing Agency, like name my business that, because they can tell that that's not real. It's like when businesses used to start with an A to show up in yellow pages kind of thing. But if it's naturally in there, it is going to impact search. All right, so I've mentioned it a couple of times. I wanted to help you optimize your Google My Business page. And I have the link, I think I shared it with you in one of the previous sessions, but I also have it in the resources page, which is the last page of today's deck, to help you optimize your Google My Business listing. If you do nothing else that we're going to talk about today at all, this would be the one thing to do. Make sure you have yours and that it's relevant, that you've claimed it. If you have multiple locations, you need one for each physical address. Make sure that you've put in your accurate business name, that it's consistent with how you're listed everywhere else. And if you are a service-based business, it will actually allow you to show area in miles, like your coverage area. It'll allow you to book appointments and many other things. And then add some photos. So here you can see the knowledge panel. This is how Google My Business actually shows up, is on the right side of a page. So here I searched for digital marketing agency. We showed up on the right as high for that keyword. And that's what my Google My Business page looked like to somebody who found us. So it really shapes how people find information, and you'll start seeing they look like little recipe cards on the right side. And that's what it is. So name, address, phone, website and reviews, and NAP is name, address, phone, website and reviews, your category, your business hours, and then it will also show new posts. So for us, we post new content to Google My Business every week for us and for our clients. And you should consider putting content on there. When you put something on there, it's going directly into the database that you want to show up in. So I often will optimize the content specifically for Google and then put it on Google to help us show up higher. You can also answer messaging. You can do messaging with customers, but for goodness sakes, if you turn this on, check it so that you can get answers. Not all, I don't have it turned on for Dream Local, and I have people that monitor all of our channels. So, make sure if chat is something that is important to you, then you have it turned on and you have somebody watching it all the time. You can answer people's Q&A publicly, which is a great way to fuel search, because if you answer questions really well, then they help you be more relevant. And in certain types of businesses, you can actually get booked from a search engine result page. So customers can book depending on the category that you choose. So if you haven't claimed it yet, then definitely do that. You can follow the link at the end of the page. If you have questions, you hit any obstacles, let me know. The biggest obstacle that I've heard in the past couple of months with businesses trying to do this was a realtor that was using the physical address of the brokerage office versus their house. Makes total sense. But a lot of other people had used that same physical address, and so it's getting kicked out. That's the kind of thing that if that happens to you, or it's just not behaving as expected, definitely let me know. But I can tell you pretty much everything else is very straightforward. They walk you through it to help you do it yourself. Okay. So here's where I'm going to get a tiny bit nerdy, and I'm going to try to go quickly because I know this is such a drag, like some of the technical stuff, but I wanted you to understand how they work so you can talk to your web developer, or if you built your website yourself, so you understand some of the things that you might have not known about that impact search. So the first thing really in this area is that you want to optimize with structured markup. And by that, I mean, it's a little bit of code that gives some relevant information about your business. And the biggest thing here has a lot to do with locations, the different types of products and services that you offer, but location is a big one. So if you have different offices, it should be optimized with specific tags to help you do that. Now, the audit that I'll send you will show up if we have any problems with some of this structured markup, or if it sees opportunity, which will be nice, because then you might pick up what you need to do there. But there are certain things like for events, there's specific code you can use to make an event show up as things to do near me. So it depends a little bit on your business. Most of you have pretty straightforward businesses, so I think location is probably the biggest structured markup you care about. So the last one, well, I think it's one of the biggest ones other than Google My Business that really impacts it is leveraging content. And so I have a few slides here that I wanted to give you some ideas about what content could I put on my website that will help me show up higher. There's several different things you can do. Answering frequently asked questions, overcoming sales objections, and helping a searcher find the answer. Those are three of the biggest tips that I can offer. And I have some more specific examples to kind of expand on those. So the way that you would put content on your website, before I expand on those, there's two ways. One is the actual, way content on your pages. How many words are on there? What are the words? How are you talking about your business? For example, I am a digital marketing agency, but I don't say that all over the place on my website because most people aren't searching for that. They're searching for help with Facebook, update my Facebook page, help me show up on search engines. Like, people don't search for what I am exactly all the time. So I use a lot of other terminology in there. The second way is you could have a blog where you're actually posting content on a regular basis to help establish yourself as a thought leader and also fill your website full of content that will help you show up in search engines. So those are the two different ways to do that. And blogs really do have a significantly high ROI for businesses that are looking to do it. But in terms of what do I write about, like what are the types of content, I have 3 lists that can help you tell your story and grow your business. And these are 3 lists of types of content. So the first one is a really straightforward one when it comes to search. Where do you want to be the answer? So if somebody types it into Google, you want to be the one, that's a big thing to start with, and make a list. And this sounds silly, but a lot of the clients I work with, I make them write it on a piece of paper, like get away from a computer, because they'll get distracted by searching for things and then trying to figure it out. Like just write it down, what you want to be the authority or the right one on. What is your customer thinking or wanting when they go to a search engine that you want it to be you? And look at these keywords or phrases. And then I would also say prioritize them, like force rank them. What's the most important one? And then go down. And then what are the topics that you're an expert in? How does geography play a role, if at all? Like, for example, for Heather, it does not. For some of the rest of you, it may, because you want foot traffic coming into your particular business. And the most important ones should be a blog post and or a page on your website. And the best example, and I think I shared this one in our first session, is how much does a pool cost, right? Like that did not show the client that we were working with at that time. It was a highly competitive market. There were 4 or 5 other pool installers and contractors in that market. But we knew that one of the things people were going to Google to find was price. They didn't dare to call a contractor because they had no idea whether they could afford it or not. So how much does a pool cost actually became one of the primary pages of their website versus just a blog post, because it was such a popular thing. And last time I talked to them, it was 8 years running. That was the highest traffic page on their entire website. So when I say, I'm not just saying what keywords and phrases do you want to show up under, I'm saying where do you want to be the answer, like that you want to answer the question that somebody typed in. Second thing, what do you hear regularly? Whether it's an objection like, oh, you're too expensive, or, oh, I'm trying to do it myself, or, oh, I have somebody else. What are the objections that you hear? What are the questions that you answer over and over and over again about it? And if it's not you that talks to customers all the time, ask your salespeople or your customer service people and get those lists. How much does a pool cost? Trust me, came up a lot with the salespeople. And be proactive and answer them. And the headline is the question whenever you can do it. How much does a pool cost? Because that is literally what people are typing in so many ways. And if your headline is the actual question or pretty close to a question, you have a really high chance of showing up #1 in search. And here's an example. What you need to know about refinancing is the title of the page, but the title of the post itself is when should you refinance? Right? Because people are putting in like, when should I refinance? Should I refinance right now? What are the interest rates right now? And so the more proactively you can answer questions, the higher you'll show up in search. And then the third list to think about to give you some ideas of what kinds of content to create to help you there is, what do you wish everyone knew about you? Like if a story was going to be written about you, what would the headline be? What would the story cover? What makes you different? And how do you tailor your work for your customer specific needs? Create some content about this on your own website, then share it on your Google My Business page for any of these 3 lists, and you'll start to see your search ranking change in a matter of weeks. And here's a few more. How much does it cost versus compare, like this product versus that product. Reviews and ratings, problems, water heater leaking, like that's a really big one for plumbers, and best, when is the best time to refinance, etc. Those give you a few more ideas. And just in case you don't have a big enough list, there's also a website called People Also Ask. So this actually is an AI tool that will tell you in your particular market, what is the top thing they're searching for. So here is an example of a blog post that was created on what are the steps to buy a house? How do I buy a house? So see this People Also Ask button or section of Google. What it's doing is it's using that algorithm to say, here's the other things always searched. This website pulls all of those and puts them in front of you so that if you find something that really works for you, like how much does a pool cost? If you go to people also ask, you can find out what else do they ask that's like that to help you sort of build on that. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information and I want you to be able to turn your knowledge into action. So I have two quick things before we close today. The first one is your homework when you have time, and I know December may not be it, but when you have some time, think about that list of keywords and phrases you want to prioritize in 2022. And it should be ones that you really feel that you have a good chance of showing up on. If you're seeing that it's a highly competitive place, there's a lot of people also in that space, look for something else. Like a great example is we did for years a ton of work for Olympia Sports. And when I asked them what they wanted to show up under, they'd say, well, our top sellers are Nike and, there was Nike and Skechers and Asics and a lot of running shoes. But I also know that when I'm trying to help them show up for Nike, I'm competing against Nike. And so there were some keywords that were high on their priority list that were very difficult to achieve or would take a lot of work to achieve. Whereas they had other brands, like they had Bear Paw boots, that there was very little out on. And so we realized that we could spend less money and sell the heck out of Bear Paw boots, or spend a lot of money and be a drop in the bucket with Nike. And so create your list, prioritize it, but also think a little bit about where you see the most opportunity for you, because that's really, if we want to move the needle quickly with your businesses, that's what we're looking for. Take a look at the marketing audit that I'm going to email you. Let me know if there are any action steps, or I can answer any questions to help you with that. And if you want additional resources, all of these are links to deeper articles, as if you haven't nerded out enough. If you have any more, the link to claim your Google My Business page is probably the most important one. And I'm just going to actually click it and go live so you can see it. It allows you to type in your business name and see if you've already claimed it or not, and helps you. Are you True North Beauty? Oh no, Heather, True North. What is the full name? Let me see if you're up there. Oh, I'm sorry, you're muted. This is what I get from putting you on the spot.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
True North Beauty.
That's what I thought.
But I'm having trouble claiming mine. I was going to chat with you. I've actually gone through the postcard process twice. I've uploaded pictures. I've done everything, but I don't show up.
That's not working. Okay, definitely message me. So if some of the rest of you have problems with this as well, it may be something that I saw there was a business in San Diego that had claimed it. I wonder if we've got some name conflict here. Yeah. We actually can contact Google on your behalf. So when you send it to me, send me the details of what you've done. You may also want to send me a couple of documents that prove that is who you are. It could be like one of your incorporation papers, or it could be a bill from somebody. And so you and I will brainstorm that a little bit. So the link is pretty easy to find. It will help you get to to help you get your page up and running. As Heather mentioned, they do mail you a postcard and it'll have like a pin on it. So don't throw away the junk mail. Tell everybody to wait and look for that postcard, and then put the information in. We used to do this for businesses, and I think we've claimed almost 900 to 1,000 small business Google My Business pages. But it actually turned out to be harder because people would throw away the card and then lose it. And so now we just try to help businesses do it on their own, but sometimes you run into issues. So I'll definitely help you with that.
Thank you.
If you have any more questions, just let me know. You can find me at shannon@dreamlocal.com, and you'll get your audits from me in just a few days. So that's it for me today, Brett.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Great information as always. Looking forward to our next session, which is on Wednesday, January 19th at 6 p.m. again via Zoom. That will be about succeeding with social media. And in the meantime, you can access all the content from the Dream Local Digital Advertising Academy at lisbonmoxie.org. My name is Brett Richardson. I'm the Economic Development Director for the town of Lisbon. And on behalf of the town, and the Moxie Hub co-working facility. Wish you a happy holidays and Happy New Year.